So in our Aberlour Perinatal Befriending Support Service, listening is one of the best tools we have to use with our befriending mums and our befrienders. When they're doing the 7-week training with ourselves, listening is fed through all the areas of the training sessions that we do over the 7 weeks. The reason for this is quite often what we find is there are mums who are needing support in the service haven't really had anybody to listen to them before. They've tried talking and then they've been closed down, oh, it's just normal, it's okay to feel like that, but actually nobody's truly there listening. So in a befriending service, we like to think that the best listening we do offer from our befrienders and from the coordinators to these mums are really going to be helpful. So what we'll always say is we don't only just listen with our ears, we listen with our eyes. Our eyes are very good listeners. And when we're talking with mums and they're starting to tell us their story, we really have to keep our eyes and ears open, because what we might do is miss a cue of something that we want to ask her a wee bit more about, without interrogating obviously, but when you're validating back when somebody is telling their story, if you've heard something you can come back with that, or even sometimes we'll maybe say something along the lines like, I hear what you're saying, but actually your face is saying a wee bit something different there. Do you want to tell me a wee bit more about that? And again, wait. I think that's one of the important parts of listening. It's not to fill the empty spaces and gaps. If you're asking a question, keep it short, keep it simple, and wait. Because what we have to remember is when somebody's asked you a question, if your head is full, you've not always got that thinking space there, you're emotionally not very balanced, it takes a while for that process even to hear the question. So if it's too long, you're never going to manage to digest it. But if it's short and simple, you might get a chance to be able to answer. Now quite often, whether it be culture or with mums we work with, but you quite often get said, how are you today? I'm fine, or I'm okay. That's generally an answer we would get. What we'll always talk about, if somebody says that to us, we'll say, are you just fine? And you'll wait. Because quite often what happens there is that mum will have a wee moment, she'll be trying to find some thinking space in her head, and then she might probably cry. It's generally what we get, some tears come then, and she'll say, no, I'm not fine. And then it'll start to come, the true story will start to come out. Again with the okays, it's just okay, and wait that wee bit longer, and hopefully then you will get a better answer from it. We do use a scenario when we're sort of doing that, when we're doing the training, and we use this as an example. So if you think of the glass, it's been in your head and this is what's going on for you. All of us, with the stresses of life, just by getting up in the morning, getting ourselves ready, we'd all have something in our glass of head, some level of stress, but what we would have is a lot of thinking space left. If you're not in the best place with your mental health, quite often what happens with all the things you're trying to do with your anxiety fills that glass up for you. You may be worried about bills because you're not working at the moment, you're on maternity leave, so you're sticking worrying about that. Maybe the baby's been crying all night and you think, I'm so tired, I can't keep my eyes open, I'm just so stressed with this becoming a mum. Could be that your husband's giving you a bit of a hard time because he's wanting his dinner on the table when he comes in, and actually you've not had a minute's day long to actually get that done. On it goes on till the glass becomes full to overflowing. This is what we would say is when you're not in a good emotional state of being. When we offer good quality listening support from the befriending service, we hope to empty something back out of that glass into the jug to give mum some thinking space. It's important we do that because then what she can do is find solutions for herself. She gives her that thinking space back to sort things out. So when we're doing a befriending, the befrienders will say, go and tell me about your week this week. And she'll say, well, it was really hard. The kids have been crying all day. I'm really exhausted. It's the school holidays next week and I don't know what I'm going to do with them because they'll be tanked up in the house. I'm so worried about my mother-in-law. She's moaning at me all the time that I should be a better mum. What we're doing by offering our listening is we're giving back that thinking space again so that mums can become more balanced emotionally and allowing themselves again, I keep going back to this solution, to find their own solution so that we're not offering solutions to everything she's saying. Because there is nothing worse when you're trying to tell somebody your story and then what they come back as, well, I think what you should be doing is this and you should be getting yourself down to that group, that'll be the best thing you can do. You've not listened, but you've not given them that chance to find that themselves. So another really important tip just to remember is, especially in the day we're living in now with mobile phones, just to be present in the room. So if you think you're likely to be getting calls coming in, please put your phone on silent or put it in your bag out the way so that you are present in the room with the person you're sharing the conversation with. Because there's absolutely nothing worse than somebody answering their phone or checking their phone or even having a wee look at their, quite often on the watches now, I think messages come in on the watches and you see the little click down to have a wee look at what's happening. It's so distracting, it's actually very, very disrespectful to your person you're listening to. So a top tip for anybody is please be present in the room and turn off those mobile phones wherever possible. Another good tip about good quality listening is not making it about you. So if somebody's telling you a story about how difficult it is for them, it's important that we don't say, oh, I remember when that happened to me, you know, because all of a sudden you're not listening, you're telling, and that's what you're doing is you're filling their glass back up again instead of emptying it out for them. So it's so important that we don't make it about ourselves and that we go back to the mum who's telling her story. Never dismissing what she's saying is a really important point too, because quite often what we maybe be told in service is, I'm really not a very good mum, I don't think I'm a good mum. Now if we say something along, oh of course you are, look at you smashing, we're not listening. What we need to say is, we're going to tell them a wee bit about that, what makes you think you're not a good mum, and let her tell some of the stories about it. Generally what happens then, she'll say, well, I'm not a good mum because and she'll not remember. I said, because are you a good mum? Because what have you done today? And then she'll say, well, I got the kids up and got them to school and I did this, I got the what. I said, oh, so that doesn't make you a good mum. So again, it's that, you know, not dismissing when somebody's trying to tell you how they're actually feeling. We talked about the questions, keep them short and sweet again, because we don't want to fill that glass back up again. Really important that we don't bombard them with questions. However, questions are important because when we're validating what's been said to us, we have to make sure we've got the facts correct. So we could say something, so you're telling me you're not a good mum? And she'll say, yeah, go and tell me a bit more about that. So again, they do have to have these questions, but they have to be very, very short and very, very simple. Remember to thank the recipient for that. You know, if our mum's been able to tell you her story and how difficult it's been for her, it's really important you thank her for sharing that for you, because she's maybe never told anybody before, and you are very, very privileged to have that, you know, because what she might say is, I'm really, really sorry, you know, I've just spilled all my heart out to you. No, thank you for sharing that with me, because I'm very privileged to hear that today. And it's not offering promises we can't keep as well, you know, we'll get this sorted for you. No, we'll think of this, let's see, we'll get the kettle on and we'll chat about this next week again, see where it goes.